From WNEP, the news station, this is 2024, a look back.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Newswatch 16. I'm Chelsea Strube. Throughout this year, you came along for the ride, so to speak, as we checked out some fun and fascinating places and activities right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. From the farmlands of central Pennsylvania to the Pocono Mountains and beyond, Check It Out with Chelsea had some segments for the record books this year. And speaking of record books, there's a historian in Luzerne County who specializes in keeping presidential records. Let's check out the collection of presidential historian Larry Cook. Commission documents signed by the president.
It sat on Lincoln's desk, and Lincoln actually had this in his hands.
Presidential stationery before the White House got its name.
Labeled Executive Mansion.
Relics made from beach houses of the Kennedys. Hologram campaign jewelry. It may be very well impossible to go through every item presidential historian Larry Cook has in his at-home collection in Dallas Township.
I know it's more than 5,000. It's probably more up around 8,000 items. You know, I have a lot of it out, but we have a lot of things archived away.
This lock of Abraham Lincoln's hair isn't one of those items.
I have something from all the presidents, from George Washington to President Biden.
Cook says he believes his interest in the presidency started after JFK was assassinated.
And then when I was about 12 years old, my grandmother got me this piece right here, the Lincoln penny with Kennedy's image in it.
That's when his collection of items and knowledge about the presidents began. Cook's ultimate goal is to have a full collection of presidential signatures. Right now, he's only missing 7 out of all 45 presidents.
And it's not that I couldn't have had those by now, but I wait till I get something that's really special to me to be in the collection, or my expertise is in the personal side of the presidency and the little-known facts. So I really love things that are of a personal nature. It gives me goosebumps, to think that I'm holding this letter now that Benjamin Harrison was pouring his emotions out into.
Or something the president signed before he held office.
Teddy was a police commissioner in New York City. Harry Truman was a haberdasher. Jimmy Carter was a farmer. So it personalizes. And I think things would be a whole lot better today in politics if we took that into consideration, that our politicians they're people. They're people just like us. I think a lot of people forget that.
If you want to see some of these items up close, Cook holds presentations regularly at the Hoyt Library in Kingston. You can find out when he'll be there next on WNEP.com. Similar to record keeping, hobbyists in Luzerne County work to keep the memory of the railroad alive by building miniature models and sharing them with the public. Here's a closer look at the Hudson Model Railroad Club. Depending on your point of view, it's easy for model railroad scenery to make you feel like you're somewhere you've seen before.
The funny thing is, when I first joined, I sort of thought that some of that stuff, like say a danger sign on the fence, is sort of like, what's the point of it? It's so small, like you could barely read it. But once you actually take the time and go and put them all up, it gives it a whole new sense of realism.
The Hudson Model Railroad Club in Plains Township has been keeping this commitment to realism in its sets since the 80s.
Our goal here is to sort of display things that people can relate to. Like we have a coal mine, we have a sawmill, so we try to just hit bits and pieces that people would likely see in their backyard on their daily commute.
Sometimes it's not that easy. Many of these sets were made from scratch.
They don't really make a kit for a railroad scrapyard, so members donated equipment, parts, pieces that they took from work and that were getting thrown away, and we just sort of assembled it all together.
Or modified.
We call it kit bashing, where we'll take 2 or 3 kits, use parts from each one, and put it all together to sort of make what we want.
Right now, in the club's off-season, there are some changes happening in this section that used to be an oil terminal and will now be turned into something else.
We got it all reinforced so we can add new scenery. We're going to make it sort of like a rock wall like what you see on the other side. There'll be a new tunnel portal that goes in, and there's a lot of propane in this area. So instead of doing oil, We're going to have this as a propane terminal.
Before we can make that look like this, we have to add some reinforcements to the reinforcements, like chicken wire. Then we add paper towels, water, and glue. So the plaster that will eventually go on top has some support and something to stick to. And it will evolve from there.
Make this look a little nicer, so I gotta build something to support this behind it. And then this will all get covered in plaster. It'll get carved.
The Railroad Club will have a few open houses this summer. If you want to come and check out the progress, you can find more details on WNEP.com. Check it out. Got a glimpse of the real thing, too, with the Huber Breaker Preservation Society in Ashley. This group works to collect real artifacts from the railroad and coal industries in our area. They showed us what working on the railroad all the livelong day is not as easy as some of them make it look.
It's all part of the history of the area. If it wasn't for what we're preserving, it would be lost. That would be the end of it. So it's pretty neat to have stuff that's local and we could preserve it for people to see.
The Huber Breaker Preservation Society hopes to one day open up a media center to share the history of coal mining and that industry, along with the railroad, with the public in a much easier yet interactive way. It was a day filled with fun when I went to check out piglet playtime at this animal sanctuary. We'll meet Dunky and Dory and show you how staff here helped them settle into their new home. Next on Newswatch 16. Some of my favorite check-it-outs are the ones where we get to spend time with animals. And when I heard about a farm in Lackawanna County that had an event titled Piglet Playtime, well, I knew we had to check it out. There is no question that Dory is a piglet who loves attention. From her human counterparts at Indraloka Animal Sanctuary that takes up parts of Lackawanna and Wyoming counties. What workers here were not sure about was how Dory and her brother Dunky were going to get along with other pigs on the farm when they got here.
The pigs take a little bit longer to figure out who's in charge, where they're most comfortable, who their best friend is going to be, and sometimes that happens instantaneously. So again, just like people, it can happen overnight or it can take weeks and weeks and weeks.
Dunky and Dory are the youngest, but another pair of piglets, Sequa and Ruby, are here, and about 3 months older. The first step was integrating all these piglets together.
Man, that's some good scratching.
And it helps if we're here to facilitate the process.
All they do is play with each other all day.
They play all day.
All day long, you guys play?
All day till they get exhausted.
That is a strong nose. It's like, wow. Ooh. Uh-oh. See, oh, she's nibbling. She's nibbling on my foot.
They're pretty comfortable getting to know each other, play with each other, but they're each very bonded. So then once the four of them are really a quad pairing, then they'll move in with the big pigs, and they're already meeting the biggest guys one at a time right now.
That in some cases outweigh them by more than 1,000 pounds.
It's a delight to watch them interact together and to think they were small enough they could fit in my hands when they first got here. And now they're much, much bigger.
Sarah Thornton has been working at Indraloka for 10 years. She says it's animals like these that consistently bring her happiness at work. If you want to experience this joy for yourself.
Oh, that's my legs. Okay, well, their teeth aren't that sharp.
No.
That's good.
There are plenty of opportunities for you to do so through tours, summer camps, or programs like Dory's Stories.
The opportunity to come and sit with the animals and listen to story time. We'll read books, or we may tell the animal stories, and you can come and you can choose to just read and hang out with them.
At the heart of everything we do is kindness and compassion. So when you come and you spend time with a rescued farm animal, you have the opportunity to connect, to get to know them with no barriers in between you.
To learn more about the interactive opportunities at Indraloka, visit WNEP.com.
That's a strong nose.
It's so strong.
It's farmed fleece. That was the focus of another segment we did with these bad girls in Schuylkill County. These women trained for months to compete in local fleece to shawl competitions around the state. While winning is always nice, these ladies say the connections they make with each other and beyond make it all worth it.
It's so much fun, and for me, doing this, I feel a connection to the past. This former history teacher And I actually get chills sometimes when I sit to spin. It's the connection with the past. That's why I love it. I feel the history in my hands.
The Bad Girls meet weekly at the Walk-In Art Center in Schuylkill Haven if you want to join in on the fun. Birds of prey are a favorite animal of mine, and that's what we had our eyes on at a Check It Out in the Pocono Mountains. More from the Pocono Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center when we return. Its mission is to heal and care for injured wildlife while educating visitors on species native to Pennsylvania through interactive learning. Large birds and other animals sometimes find themselves under the care of the folks at the Pocono Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center near Stroudsburg. Some make this place their permanent home and help teach others about wildlife, and others are here just to heal and head back into the wild.
Nonprofit 501c3 wildlife hospital. So anything native to Pennsylvania that is injured, orphaned, or abandoned, they can bring here, they can call to have brought here, and we rescue, rehabilitate, and release.
If you want to learn more about the Pocono Wildlife Rehabilitation and Education Center, you can find a link to more information on our website, WNEP.com. I did venture into the great outdoors looking for snakes and other things found in nature. Finding the perfect snake for the rattlesnake roundup can be more difficult than you think. We'll take you on the hunt after the break. Every year there is a fascination with the rattlesnake roundup in Wyoming County, but where do these snakes come from? I got up close and personal with some of these reptiles. Check it out.
Alicia Sherwood has been hunting rattlesnakes for the annual Rattlesnake Roundup in Knoxon for the last 17 years.
A good friend of mine, he took me under his wing, adopted me pretty much, and started to teach me how to do this.
And it was only a matter of time before she took her 12-year-old daughter, Ann Lee, along with her for educational purposes.
Not to have fear for it, but just be respectful of it.
Ahead of the big competition for the fire department's fundraiser, I asked these ladies to show me how it's done. First comes the gear, like the boots.
They can't strike through them. I mean, they could bite them, but you're not going to get injected with any type of a venom.
The hooks, the jug.
If I were to catch a snake on Saturday and bring it down, this is what I'm putting it in. It's an old olive jug, holes drilled into it. Keeps me safe, it keeps them safe.
And other important tools.
Your eyes and your brain, making sure that you're paying attention to everything that you're doing, where you're stepping, where you're walking.
Then we ventured up a few miles to South Mountain, where we did a practice run.
You're gonna take your hook and you're gonna kind of put your hook in underneath it. And sometimes it's like caressing them. You can, yep.
And you pull the tail.
You just hold the tail.
And you go like this. All right, so this is how I would hold the snake.
And from there, it was time to walk about half a mile into the woods to get here, the perfect spot to snake hunt.
It's got spots that they can get under the rocks, get away from any type of a predator, anything that's coming at them. It's also a nice spot for them to sunbathe. It's still shady. It's not super hot.
Within minutes, we could hear the rattlers' warnings, but we weren't able to catch them. Plus, many were too small to catch. For competition, you must catch a male that is at least 42 inches long, not including the rattle. That wasn't the only creature we found up on the mountain. In between rattlers, we found a baby bird, a gardener snake, butterflies, plus 4-leaf clovers, which we think brought us luck because after trekking through the trees and around the windmills, we started hearing rattles again. Out of the 8 rattlers we found over the course of the day, this was the only one where we saw its head. It's too tiny to catch and clearly afraid of us.
I think that's something we hear a lot. They're more afraid of us than we are of them.
Correct.
This year we also went hunting for something else, a little more fun-y. Mushrooms. Mushroom hunting has gained popularity in the past few years. Danielle Bennett of Connected Fun Girl Wellness likes to go on Monday mushroom walks through Lehman Township in Luzerne County and invites others to come along.
The first Monday of every month, we come here and we just take like an hour-long hike, just really getting connected with nature is the primary focus. Finding mushrooms is the secondary gain.
If you'd like to join a mushroom hunt, you can find a link to Connected Fun Girl Wellness's Facebook page on our website, WNEP.com. Winter has arrived, and that means we'll be seeing some more snow in the next few months. But this can be a whole new way to experience it. We'll take you snowshoeing through a state park coming up next. Next time we get a significant amount of snow, you may want to try to experience it in a different way, through snowshoeing. Earlier this year, I strapped on a pair of snowshoes myself at a state park in Luzerne County.
After a big snowfall, the scene at Lake Francis in Nescopec State Park becomes serene and can only be explored by making this noise, crunching along the trails of the park in Denison Township in snowshoes.
We don't have any trail grooming equipment here at the park, so if you want to get out into some of the areas of the park during that time of the year, the best way is on snowshoes when there's a lot of snow on the ground.
Because otherwise, you sink into the snow. The science behind snowshoeing is based off of an animal that bears the same name that could also be found here in the park.
Yeah, this is a snowshoe hare. He's got naturally long feet in order to stay on the loft of the snow, so he can reach up to those branches that he's trying to eat.
Imitating the physics behind the hare's feet goes back centuries, but now has a more modern look.
That are mostly made of aluminum. They've got the crampons on the bottom.
Nescopec State Park is dusting off its collection of snowshoes for people to rent for free as they explore the park in the snow.
I have wanted to do some snowshoeing to try it out for the last couple of years, but there hasn't been enough snow. So when I saw they were going to try to do it today, I thought, oh, that's perfect timing.
There needs to be at least 6 inches of snow on the ground for the sport, and getting the shoes on takes some finesse.
All right, so there is actually a left and a right one, even though you might not think so. There is a little L for left.
The ratchets should face outward.
Basically, what you want to do is put your foot onto the crampon, not too far up and not too far back. Just ratchet down till it tightens. That's great. And then the back, you just tighten up as best you can here.
And you're all set. Poles are optional to be used for extra balance, and the steps take some time getting used to. Many snowshoe to keep up with an exercise routine outdoors when it snows. Some come to take photos, to get outdoor photography shots they might not get without the winter landscape. Others come to try something new and see if it's something they want to add to their list of hobbies.
I'll tell you what, guys, I used a lot of muscles here I'm not used to using. Definitely a workout and an awesome way to experience nature and state parks when there's a lot of snow on the ground.
Check It Out with Chelsea had an amazing year, and there will be more to come in 2025. If you have any ideas, please send them my way to the email address below, chelsea.strube@WNEP.com. Thank you for joining me. Newswatch 16 at 5 is next.
Newswatch 16, WNEP2, and WNEP.com. Your #1 source for news and information. We're proud to serve all of northeastern and central Pennsylvania.